Hey, Steve, we're podcasting today. Any updates? This is all he said. The fire got larger the longer it burned.
The fire got larger the longer it burned.
Welcome to So You Think Your Car is Fast, where we dive into the world of high-end, fast cars and explore what it truly means to have a fast car. From the latest in supercar technology to the mechanics that make these machines go, we'll separate fact from fiction and uncover the misconceptions about speed and power that exist in the minds of the general public. Join us as we put the pedal to the metal and discover what it takes to have a car that truly lives up to the title of fast.
On today's episode, why cars suck.
Oh, tell me about it.
Oh, man.
I'm just kidding. I wasn't going to say that. I told Todd I wasn't going to say that.
The first thing out of his mouth.
I don't know. It just came right out. I just couldn't even stop it.
So you think your car sucks?
So, as everybody can see, I'm
out
not
the
in
new
my
link.
typical office, and it's very windy here. So I've got a nice.
He rode his motorcycle to the appointment this morning with no helmet on.
It's really windy in here. You could turn the fan off.
Hey, he's at the comedy club.
Okay, there we go.
There, he's in his.
There's your
nice
background. All
living
right.
room. He's in his living room.
Someone's living room. Some viewers like, wait, that's my house.
What?
Yeah, it kind of cuts off my wild hair a little bit too.
That's not a bad thing.
Well, what I really want is what is that thing called? The Four Seasons Total Lawn Care. That's my favorite virtual background. Well, let's start with summertime because we're all doing summertime things. So where were you, Taylor? You went somewhere.
I did. I went to New York City. Just a little getaway with the wife and kids. We went up there for the 4th of July. And the 4th of July happens to be the day after my wife's birthday. So we, two birds, one stone kind of situation. We had a good time. Weirdly enough, my wife's been to New York like 4 or 5 times in the last year. It's, I mean, I don't know. I guess we're going to buy a place there. Not really. We're not. We're not really, but we went up and, I like seeing shows and stuff, and then came home. Well, I came home to nothing in the parking garage of the airport, actually.
I was going to say there was kind of a car story in this, wasn't there?
Yeah, situation. We drove the Escalade. Look, the people have the best ideas after the fact, right? They're like, why don't you Uber to the airport? Well, I have 4 kids with luggage for almost a week. It doesn't fit in Ubers. Right. So,
well, you can get Uber Black.
Well, yeah. Or you can get 2. But the problem is normally we fly out so early in the morning that it's a little sketchy getting an Uber period from my house to the airport when you're talking, 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And you know what? I felt like, well, I don't mind paying the parking, like right in the parking garage, right there where you park to pick somebody up, because
it's not like somebody will see your car out of there. They take them out of long-term
and then the
parking.
convenience of getting there, getting in your car and going home, whatever. Awesome. This time I came out and Love Field Airport. I hate that parking garage, but I hate it more now, actually. I looked for the car. I second guessed where I parked it. I walked up and down the row like 4 times. In typical man fashion, I just continue looking.
Right.
And my wife goes to grab a parking attendant. And, I have the app that like does the car locator or whatever. And I get on there, try to do the car locator. And I'm like, this stupid parking garage. Can't even pick anything up. The lady comes over, the parking attendant. We walk the row a time. She goes, what's your license plate number? She calls down to the gate and she goes, do you have anybody that could have come and picked the car up and driven it away? And I was like, oh. And I was like, it's gone? And she's like, yeah, it drove out at 3:30 a.m. this morning. And I was like, okay, all right. I mean, it took me a minute, right? Like I was reeling. My wife's crying. And I'm like, this is, I guess we got to do all this stuff now.
You had a new car in how long? 3 days?
Yeah. Well, so, okay. So the thing is, right. It's a 21 Escalade. Works great for our family. 3 rows. It's not the long one, but actually the new body still has some cargo behind that 3rd row. So was it an awesome car? It was nice. I did some stuff to it, not big stuff, but like it had wheels and I did the Cadillac upgraded brakes and the Cadillac exhaust system and stuff like that. And we've had it for almost 2 years now.
Is it really
But I
that
wasn't-
long? I didn't think it was that long.
Yeah, we got it in August of 21. But the thing is I wasn't ready to get rid of it, But
I only got to ride in it once.
But then the idea of buying the same thing, that's lame.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my biggest frustration out of the whole thing, is like, now what am I going to get? And for a moment I was intrigued by the Escalade V, but I started calling around to a couple guys I know, and man, when they were talking about the markups and stuff, I was like, I can't. Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah, I mean, we don't mind buying expensive cars, but we don't like
I
bad
gotta
value.
feel like I get something for that. And the Escalade versus the Escalade V, sure, the engine's different, supercharged. Brakes are probably similar or the same as what I had. Does the body look a little bit? Yeah, there's like some, but non-car people would never know the difference. And so the price, I couldn't justify it.
It's like what is it, like 125 plus a markup or something?
No. They MSRP at like 150.
Ooh.
152, and then you get with any options, and you're in the 160, 165, and dealer markups are 25 to 50 on them.
Oh.
And I found one guy that had 23,000 miles on it, and I thought, okay, maybe that's a lot of miles for a year old, so maybe he's back in what I can wrap my mind around. And he's like, well, the dealer offered me 165 for it, and I was like,
wow,
man, they're cool, but they're not that cool. I couldn't get on board with it. And I made a post on Facebook, in this local Facebook group I'm in, just basically like, hey, would everybody just take a moment and shed a tear or two for me? I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And I had a guy reach out to me and said, hey, I don't know if you're interested in one of these, but they had just gotten the GLS 63 AMG Mercedes. And I thought, well, I guess we can go look at it. And that's really all it took.
Mm.
That
Wow.
was all. Let's see. We got home Thursday night. Friday, my wife and I went and looked at the car. They delivered it to the house on Monday.
Not messing around. So the $1 million question: what happens if the Escalade shows back up?
Yeah.
It's not good. The detective called me. And it actually works out okay because my insurance company requires 15 days before they'll deem it a total loss. And the detective just happens to be on leave over that 15-day period. So it's not showing up.
It's kind of suspicious.
The whole idea, I guess, from what I gathered from the police report that I filed and the detective that was assigned the case, is kiss your car goodbye. It's not coming back. I mean, he told me about one case. I guess they tracked it using something in the XM radio. And he said, like, within 24 hours or 36 hours or something, the car was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean on the way to Africa.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, he suspected that the car will be revinned somewhere and sold sold as a salvage title. So I guess they take the VIN and the VIN plates and maybe even the glove box or whatever parts have the VIN on them from a salvage car, move it on over, and then they sell it for some stupid low amount. And then somewhere down the line, somebody figures it out when it's in for service or whatever. VINs don't match, but by then it's gone anywhere. Or he said maybe somebody in the cartel has it down in Mexico. That's what I'm doing this week. I'm fighting with insurance company over value.
Oh,
I told the girl today, I said, are you old enough that you've ever used WordPerfect?
Yeah.
I said, remember that paperclip on there? That's what you sound like. I say one word. I said, I say one word, and then it's like you absolutely go, you don't pay attention to any other word that I say. He told me all the options Escalade had. They don't honor the options because it's preference. I was like, well, I prefer to buy an Escalade. Does that mean you're going to pay out the same as a Toyota Camry? Well, that's not great logic, buddy. So
no, were they free options from GM?
No, It's
Right.
like $12,000 worth of options. I'm like, you're not given any credit? Like, well, that's just a preference, sir. So is the type of car. So we're pretty close, I think, on I think I'm being really reasonable, but of course, insurance companies, they make more when they pay out less. I get it.
Mhm.
It's just
Yeah, I mean, her entire mission is just to sit there and make up as much BS as possible, right? Like
pretty much.
the last time I talked to one of them, I was like, "Look, I know you got a job to do. Why don't you just sit there? I'll hang up. You continue to pretend to keep talking so you can go through your thing and then call me back when you're actually done."
Yeah. I mean that's the thing. Like the couple correspondence we've had, she's like, "Well, we don't do that." I'm like, "Surely she read the email that I sent, right?" Because
No.
it's no. They're like, so we'll see. But yeah, we got a new car, and so far I dig it, and it happens to be in the shop getting wrapped right now.
Oh no.
So he's already throwing money at it.
Well, it's a
Yeah.
twin turbo V8. I mean, how much fun? I mean, that's awesome.
I'll tell you what. I guess I had a Mercedes. We had a Mercedes several years ago that was not a great car, and the dealership two dealerships we used were not great either. And I swore I'd never buy another one. But my swearing and promises with cars are absolutely worthless, including keeping them stock, never buying this again, never going here again. It's all I'll be there again. But it's amazing how well it moves and accelerates for what a big car it is. I mean,
I
it's
want to see it now.
yeah. Well, it'll yeah. My son was all disappointed because he's pretty sure it's faster than his Mustang.
It probably is.
Oh, I'm sure it is. So, did you already throw a tune on it?
No, I didn't. I guess that's something we could talk about because obviously when you get a car that has turbos, it's sacrilegious to not tune it.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I buy normally aspirated cars to prevent myself from screwing with them.
Well, see, this goes along with my promises I make with cars are garbage because I buy a turbo car thinking, now look, all I do is do a moderate tune, and that's all it needs. And then you have
next
a
thing you know,
202 mile an hour half-mile car. So, but yeah, look, shopping for a tuner, that's it can be overwhelming.
yeah. How
How
many
do you-
tuners? You said you went to like 17 different tuners or something crazy like that.
Yeah, I mean, first it was just like a real large net I cast out. Like I sent a bunch of emails like, hey, can you guys tune a 23? Right? Because I don't know. This newer stuff, like the stuff in the last, I guess I'm coming from a GM where the ECUs were locked for so long. So I sent out a bunch of emails to a bunch of people I knew. And then, I've always felt like in the past, taking a tuner that I know or I have a relationship with and asking for their advice, like who they recommend, can maybe net me a good idea. And then you might make the mistake if you don't know people very well. You might ask them like, hey, can you tune a car or who would you use to tune it? And they just fire off whatever they know. And I ran into a lot, right? There's, and I think probably a lot of the tuners on a basic stock tune are probably similar, maybe even using the same base file wherever it originated from.
Yeah.
But there's the whole world of like, do you want an off the shelf flash tune or do you want somebody that takes some time that custom does stuff? Or, you look at some of the packages. I mean, one of the very first packages I looked at, it was like $7,500 to tune it. And I was like, well, okay, help me understand what's involved here. And there is some stuff that's involved on some ways to do it.
Are they doing a simple OBD2 flash?
It sounds to me that Mercedes has an extra module or something that gets involved between. There's the ECU or the DME or the whatever you want to call it, the engine management portion, and then there's the transmission management portion. And then Mercedes have something that's called a CPC. I can't remember what it means, like computer or some program center. I don't know. And it sounds like to get really the maximum that the car will allow, you have to buy a new module and have it reprogrammed to match whatever you've written in the ECU and the TCU. Which, so, I mean, you're buying a Mercedes part too, right? Which is I'm sure a bulk of that cost. And then a lot of it, you got to decide what you want out of the tune. I mean, I did talk to a guy that is super involved, Mercedes specialty shop. I talked to several Mercedes shops, actually. Some of them are like, yeah, we haven't done one of those, or I don't know if we can. I got to see. And so, like, not that that's bad. I just can tell the experience isn't there, right? And then I talked to one guy that I know moderately well, and he recommended that I do something different than what everyone else is, that I need to keep it dialed back a little bit. So we'll see. I haven't done anything yet.
And it's still
Did you
running.
talk to the modern Mercedes guy?
Is that your buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did talk to him. Yep. I guess a lot of people were the same. It was the ECU, TCU, and CPC. The price ranges vary from, I can't remember, like $5,000 to $75,000.
That just seems like a lot. I mean, 7,500 to tune a car seems steep.
Well, that's
When we all know it's off the shelf.
that's the package that is sold out there for this car. From my understanding, and I'm sure I'm going to get somebody that listens to this that doesn't like what I'm saying, but my understanding is that you have to do all those things to get the max. And talking to one guy, he's like, man, you're going to run into problems if you push it that hard.
Huh.
And he's like, if you're willing to, because the tunes on those things, some of them will add 150 horsepower. He's like, if you're willing to leave 40 horsepower on the table, you can make it a lot more reliable. You're not going to eat plugs. You don't have to do a lot of extra stuff. And I was like, if I do it, that's probably more what I need to be thinking about than putting my wife in a car that's questionable.
Yeah, that's a big consideration. I'm not in the car market, but I did pay off my Escalade.
Boom.
So,
And Taylor's about to as well.
of course, I have the old model. Mine's a 2017.
Always a good day when you pay it off, man.
It's going to put me in the car market. And so,
that's
I was
exciting.
looking around and I don't know what to buy, but nothing right at this moment. But I just don't have any room for any more cars. I've got the two 911s, the Escalade, and a Tesla. And I've only got 3 parking spots. So we need to get the "Your Car is Fast" garage so that we can, stack them all up.
I mean, you can stack the two 911s, just saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like my garage as much as yours, man. Mine's so small that.
Speaking of garages.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Well, that's so your car. You think your car is fast? Garage south.
Listen, okay, I don't know if we actually talked about it, but I have a friendly neighbor who doesn't like me. So he's filing complaints against my construction. So I eventually got all the permits worked out, and now we're back in action. So
Did you find out whether he had friends in high places?
no, I don't think he
was
does.
just an angry,
Although
cranky old
listening-
man writing letters.
Does he have any friends? I mean,
I don't think he has
doesn't
any
sound
friends.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
sad.
highly unlikely he's got a buddy inside the office. So, but I got all the permits I need, and he can complain all he wants. But sorry, garage is full steam ahead. But it
When's,
delayed me about, I would say, maybe 3 weeks. So I would say it'd be done. It's gonna be done by the end of August,
Nice.
Okay.
realistically. Yeah.
Is that in Porsche work time, or is that's
Yeah.
like
Is,
legit-
is that in modified cars time? I don't know, man.
it'll be done in August.
It'll be done this year.
This year? Just an August. It'll be
This
done in
year,
an
August.
August.
And
Yeah,
then
so
we move in.
I think we showed the plans for it on here a few weeks
Mhm.
ago, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm at the moment, it's just dirt in forms. So concrete is going to be poured next week, 27th.
Your neighbor's reasoning for why you couldn't build it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. What was it that there would be too much runoff because your yard would no longer absorb enough water?
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's your yard. He couldn't stop you from putting a basketball court in it or something. I mean, there's no HOA. So
Right,
I don't know
yeah.
what ground he had to stand on to oppose it in the first place.
Yeah. Enough to where the counties, said, hey, you need to get a permit for the concrete. I'm like, okay. So, I mean, I got a permit for everything. Did you realize you need a permit for a pod? Like one of those portable Yeah, I had to get a permit for that.
I mean, this is Houston we're talking about. You don't need a permit to do anything.
Yeah, for real. Houston's just throw it all out there, whatever.
Houston's like oil refinery,
No rules.
school, no problem.
I don't think they would have cared if the neighbor
Are those
wouldn't
kids
complain.
playing on that equipment? Yeah, that's the jungle gym. Don't worry about it.
Is that
Yeah, don't worry.
mercury they're
Flaring
playing?
gas off. And yeah.
All that black smoke coming in? No, it just makes it easy to see him.
So hopefully, yeah, that'll be done by the end of August, and I'll be able to park everything in there. But Steve's had the car for what, a year? I think my car's been at Driver's Source for 12 months.
You took it away for a little bit.
Yeah, I went to an event or so with it, right?
Yeah.
My goal is to keep it broken so I could keep it at Steve's for free.
I mean, you're doing a great job,
Right?
Todd. You're doing a great job.
Well, I talked to Steve about my car yesterday because I needed to keep up to date on my Steve bill.
What's the latest? What's the stage of your car at the moment?
So my turbos are at force performance.
Okay, what are we doing with those again? Okay, so it's been a while.
So
doing
I
with
don't
those?
know. When I had it on the dyno at Wayne's, it made like 1,400, right around there. I don't remember, like 1,375 or was it 14 something? It's been a while. It was a pretty good number. I was happy with it. That much I remember. And I noticed after dynoing it, I kind of felt like one of the compressor wheels wasn't on the passenger side, wasn't spinning as freely as the one on the driver's side. And there's lots of reasons that can happen. Like if you shut it down hot and you mess up and coke up some oil in it or whatever, could get a little bit plugged up. So I was like, no big deal. So I sent him over there just to check. And I guess he didn't say anything about that, but he did say that my compressor wheels were stretched 6/1000 of an inch.
Oh, so there was an issue.
So I don't know if that's what I noticed. I don't think that was related, but they were definitely in need of some servicing. So I must have spun them faster than I thought at some point because they were a little getting large, and you don't want them to expand, because then they have to become self-clearancing and basically scrape on the housing to get themselves back down to normal size. So that's not so great. But
Did they were they equally stretched, or was it just one side?
Exactly equally. No.
I don't know. He just said he said they plural, so I assumed both sides, but he did say 6/1000, which is a lot. That's a lot given the tight tolerances in there. So getting new compressor wheels, I don't think I'm going to bother to have them anodized red this time.
Oh, that's right. You had.
I'm just going to take my old red ones out and put them on my desks for desk art.
But I still have my KO'd turbo. Thought about what am I going to do with it? I feel bad if I throw it away, but it's literal garbage.
I told John that I can't
paperweight.
do this rushing thing again because Steve is going to kill one of us. It's just a matter of when, right? So
Right.
I didn't want to be that guy that got it. So, I talked to Steve. I said, Steve, when do you need my engine by to be comfortable putting it together for Indianapolis? And then I called John and I said, this is when I need the engine by for Minneapolis or I'm not going, which I hope he doesn't watch this. But I think that was actually a little bit of a bluff on my part because I felt like if I gave him a deadline, when I never do give anybody deadlines about anything, that there was probably a larger chance that he would make it. Because it's always just like, oh, hey, when can we have it? When can we have it? So we'll see.
Well, from my experience, John isn't motivated by deadlines, and that's probably because he doesn't want to rush something like this. I get it. He wants to be right the first time, although that's not always the case, but they definitely don't want to rush something like this together, and it come back even worse than it started. So of course,
yeah,
your engine,
I told him.
Have we talked about your rods being bent?
Yeah, they were comfortably crushed, I think is the they were compressed,
if you will.
Yeah.
So at this point, what do you think that needs to be done? He's got all the parts.
Yeah, so he doesn't though. That's the thing. So last week I talked to him. No, week before last I talked to him, and he said, "Well, your sleeves, which are in our case the sleeves are the cylinder, right? And
Oh, he's doing new liners too?
So he had to get new line. He said my sleeves were out of shape. They were like not
Oh.
round.
Okay.
So he had to get new sleeves, and he said they'll be there next week, which was last week. And then last week he didn't get them, so last week became this week. And now I haven't heard anything yet this week, and we're on we're on the 19th. So this is rapidly becoming next week. So and the date that I told John, I said, look, if you can get it done by the end of this coming week, so that'd be like the 21st or something.
Yeah.
Great. But if not, then I'm not going, because I can't get Steve to rush it together, and I don't want it to end up being a rush job and things get messed up. But I was also kind of secretly thinking, well, if I tell him this, several weeks in advance, that at least he has a chance to prepare for it, and he knows what's coming. Like, it's not going to be a surprise. I don't know. Normally I just say, all right, John, here's the parts. Let me know when they're done. And I try not to bug him.
Yeah.
So a little different strategy there, but
I pretty much bug everybody all the time. They're just little things. I'm like, hey, I was thinking about this. What do you think about this? And they're like, oh boy, this guy.
That's why your stuff never gets done.
Because I ask questions.
Well, it's like my son. He asked me for Robux 15 times yesterday, and I kept saying later. And then the 15th time, I said no. And he's like, what do you mean no? And I said, because
You're
you
like,
asked
it
me
passed. Later
times,
passed.
too many times, buddy. Of course, what he didn't know is I'd already bought them, and I was just waiting to give them to him later. But
oh, there you go. There you go.
Well, you want to hear my car update?
I heard your turbos were getting installed.
So I texted Steve. I never bother him, right? I just let him manage his own time, because he's better with his own time, right? But today, since we were recording, I wanted to get, I don't know, some kind of update. So this is what I get. This is what I get. Hey, Steve, we're podcasting today. Any updates? This is all he said. The fire got larger the longer it burned.
The fire got larger the longer it burned. Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's that's Steve's dry humor for me. No, so he sent back some pictures. He's got the turbos already mocked up, installed, and the fabricator's coming by Friday. And what we're using the fabricator for, hopefully, is a new Y pipe extension to get some isolation on the throttle body.
Is that all the fabricator's doing?
Well, like I said,
I need some.
I talked to Steve about what we're doing, and I said, man, whatever. I said, you make the decision. I mean, one person has to make the decision, and I'm okay with what you choose. So I don't know if I'm getting a new intake, if we're modifying the intake, or if we're just doing Y pipe modification. I don't know. Either way, I'm just going to let him handle it. Now, that being said, John says the motor is what it is, and it does push more oil than it did before. So Steve is he's going to build a bigger breather, build a bigger catch can, and we're just going to have to empty it more, So if that's the way the motor is going to be, then we'll figure a way to deal with what we have. So, and then I think he's got to, we got to put new plug wires in, because we had to kind of make one on the site, at the racetrack, and the GPS module will be wired in, and then the speed sensors on the turbos are going on.
Nice.
So, it's quite a bit of stuff if you think about it. So,
and then Taylor, you're getting stuff sorted out for yours to go, but you're not going to Indy. You're going to the one after it. So you got a little bit more.
Yeah, I can't make Indy, and I'm a little nervous because I have been talking to people, because I've got turbos on the way. I had Bray getting me some cams, and then I have to organize getting my car over to Steve and getting Bray to come out. So there's a lot of moving parts. And so I was just trying to be, proactive with it and try to figure out, when do I need to be doing things? Because the reality is that there's a lot of getting everything to mesh up well is not my forte. not my fault. Others.
Is Bray going to come to Driver Source to do it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I reached out to Steve. I want to say it's probably 2 weeks ago. I reached out to Amber first because I thought she gave me a time range when I ordered the turbos, and I thought we were getting closer to where we would know where we're maybe going to fall in the time range.
And this is Amber at Force Performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think we are. I don't know when the turbos are going to be done. I was thinking by now, but I was a couple weeks off. So she was thinking last July, 1st August.
Okay.
So I reached out to Steve. I said, hey, so do you want me to bring my car now so you guys can get started? Because I have a list of stuff that I want done while it's there.
Well, you both have 3 months, 3.5 months.
I know, but I'm still working on, man, I thought we got rid of all the PDK errors the other day. I was on
Did
the
you
phone
take
with-
it to Porsche?
No. And I did scan it, and I got all the codes off the transmission.
Yeah.
None of them are related to the technical service bulletin at all.
Well, let's say they're not. Let's say it is something wrong with the PDK that's outside the bulletin. Wouldn't it be better if you had Porsche fix it?
No, because Porsche can't do anything. They can't even get in and communicate with the transmission. Not unless they pull Cyvex and put the stock ECU back in. And
Okay.
they're not going to do that. Like
Right.
I asked the tech over at Porsche, I said, hey, if I bring this to you to do the service bulletin, have you done one? He
Mhm.
said, no, I haven't, but I know what it is.
Uh-huh.
And I said, okay. I said, well, if I bring it to you, the only trouble you'd have, because it's just a pan and valve body drop, the only trouble you'd have is you're supposed to run the car and check fluid levels and fill fluid levels with the car running, which you
Mhm.
can't do unless you pull out Cyvex.
Really?
Yeah, and go back to 93 on the stock fuel system,
Oh my
bypass
God.
all the secondary fuel system stuff.
I
It's
didn't
a
know that.
mess.
I didn't know that.
But I said, if you just catch all the fluid and put that fluid back in, then we should be okay. And he goes, I don't mind doing it, but he said you probably need to check codes and see if that's even. And I talked to Wayne, I talked to Steve, and I talked to Jared, and I'm less suspicious of that being the problem that we have.
What is the
Then I will-
TSB?
It's faulty temperature sensor wiring.
Oh, yeah, you have had some kind of weird trans temp error, haven't you?
We did. And I guess my thought was, because whenever the transmission errors out, it always refers to a temperature, like overheated or too hot or something. And so then I remember last summer when I was with somebody, I think it was Indy, we were watching the PDK temperatures, and they were really erratic. So Wayne and Ryan and stuff built some different tables that were kind of going around that. And I thought, well, gosh, maybe we need that. Maybe that's related. And so I thought I found the smoking gun, but realizing how consistent the error is in the transmission, like I can get it to do it. Like I know how to drive it where I can duplicate it. That it's not it's not an intermittent thing that way. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's very deterministic, isn't it?
Yeah. So we're not quite there. I spent some time with Wayne. I went out and did some logging. We made a couple adjustments. I thought we had it, man. So the problem is although I can make it do the error, it's not 100%. It's not like I do the error and it happens. It's like I have to try a couple times and then it happens. So it's hard for me to measure if is it better or did I just not do it quite right? So we're still working on that, but I was really hoping to have the turbos done, the cams done, the air in the transmission, and tuned on the new setup in time for me to take my car over and have the wrap redone before Abilene. And that's
wait, whoa, re-wrap? What?
Yeah,
in what?
I'm probably going to do something similar. It's just the wrap is old, peeling, it's coming off. It's just
needs
old.
Needs a little Captain America update.
Let me ask you guys. Let's say we talk about the GT3 PDK in your 9911. Is it the same as the 9972 PDK?
Yes, essentially, but it is they're updated and they use a different control computer.
Why don't you just take it out of your GT3, throw it in the turbo?
I want to do that, but
It's
the
not
problem
like moving my keys from my right pocket to my
To
left
the left
pocket.
pocket.
See, I've got it backwards. What I want is a manual transmission to drive on the street, and I want a PDK to race with because I want racing to be not rowing gears, and to be consistent, right? But the problem is that the 9A1 and the Mezger have different bell housing bolt patterns. So you can't just take a trans for the Mezger and bolt it up to a 9A1 back and forth.
Mhm.
I guess in Taylor's case, he might be able to do that between the 991 and the 997.2 engine. I didn't think about that, but like in my case, I can't take my PDK and
Right.
put
Right.
it in my 997.
I was just thinking, since he did have a PDK, if it was
Yeah,
at
you're
all
right.
similar.
I got long-winded, but it came back to that realization. Yeah.
There are some differences. I don't know how big they are. I know. I mean the clutch basket's different. The differential the opening on the side of the differential's different because the Dodson differential plate will not fit a 997.2. And then the whole communication is different. So like I don't know if that's an option, but gosh, what an undertaking I've got to think that would be. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I feel like we're really close on mine now.
Do you guys remember that guy in Colorado that had the Porsche with the, like, was it a Honda engine swapped into it?
I've seen one on YouTube, K24, but I didn't
It's like
see
a
one.
996 that was racing at Shift-Sector in Colorado, and he didn't have a Porsche engine in it. He had like a Honda engine or something in it.
Mm-mm.
But he sells a kit to do the PDK engine, the PDK trans in a 997, like and a bell housing adapter and the whole 9 yards. So he would know how to do it. He might be an interesting guy to talk to about the.
I want to say there's another shop that does them too.
I had his information. I'll have to find it.
There is some information starting to squeak out on the PDK. There's a link that I sent Wayne, Jared, and Steve that I found, a shop who's actually getting into them and fixing them. I don't know that they're doing complete rebuilds yet, but they've got, I mean, they know a lot about them. I don't know if they know the most about them, but they are at least sharing the most I've found. So I don't think it's going to be too long before there's another solution. Although I was also looking and I did some cross-referencing on Porsche's part numbers, and it looks like the PDK prices have come down significantly. If you get on to, what is it, Auto Atlanta, you can, like, my car is one of the last ones you can even have access to on parts diagrams, but you can look and there's 4 part numbers for the PDK transmission. 2 of those part numbers, what it looks like is that there's been 2 original part numbers and then 2 updated part numbers from those. The question that I had is that, what's the variance between the two? I don't know any differences in the 997.2 turbo PDKs. I don't know what the difference would be. But there's one that's as cheap as like $12,000 or $11,000 for a new Porsche PDK.
Wow.
Or I don't know that they're new either because they're charging a pretty hefty core charge on it.
You know, I think it was a Volkswagen engine that was in it, a VR6 engine, and I found his website. It's speeddensitymotorsports.com.
Oh, okay, yeah, I heard of them.
And they're selling a
like conversion
PDK,
kits, don't they?
Yeah, like a PDK conversion. The base price is 25. It's not cheap. It's $25,000, but it includes the PDK, axles, flywheel, adapter plate for the bell housing, starter, transmission control module, harness. I don't know. I mean, I'm not necessarily advocating that we purchase his kits for our cars, but you know, maybe there's
might be somebody to talk to.
Yeah, there might be some way we could do business together. Yeah.
I just got something from Jared. I know he sent me a message today. Said he was out in the 997.2 working on some drivability transmission stuff. We're almost there. I really think we're almost there.
I hope
Jared's
so.
not going to let this go. Jared is a very, you know, once he gets his nose on something, man, he doesn't take it off until he's got it figured out. That's just the way I've seen it many times. Like he'll be having problems with something, you know, as you always do when you're making things up out of thin air, and then he'll be talking about it, and then like 3 months later he'll send a photo and be like, and this was the solution. I finished that project. His follow through is good. It wouldn't surprise me at all if it gets solved soon.
Yeah.
But my cams, John has my cams. That's what I know.
Okay.
That's my update.
Okay, that's good.
What's my scorecard here? I'm like 40% going to Indy. That's about how I feel about it.
Man, it's just 50-50. You're either going or you're not.
I feel like it's a little bit less than 50-50 because It isn't shipped yet, but I'll probably go anyway.
Can we talk about the sale of Dallas
Yeah.
Performance?
I was gonna bring that up. Yeah,
Okay.
I think we can.
So
I mean,
Dave,
we don't know that much, but
Yeah.
you said it. Dallas Performance got sold. I think Taylor knows the most.
Yeah, I can't remember where I actually heard that at the very beginning, but I ran into Perlman and the buyer. So bad with time. It feels like it's just
Mario.
Yeah, when I was out at G2 Motorsports Park, that invite thing that they did where we got to go run our cars, and they were both out there, and I knew before then, and I can't remember how I even really knew because I walked up to both of them and I said, "Hey, I guess congratulations are in order." And they both looked at me and I go, "Although I don't know which one of you I need to direct the congratulations to, the guy that sold it or the guy that bought it." And then we all laughed. Ha ha ha. But I met Mario, I think it was maybe Indy last year.
Okay,
No,
so
he
are we
was at
talking about,
Swain's shop when we were there too.
are we talking about Canadian Mario?
German
Mario.
German Mario. Okay.
Germany.
How do we know Mario?
Mario had a car that I think he had a Dallas Performance car
Okay.
that he raced. He also does a relative amount with Porsches. He's a pretty straight shooter, like he means business.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to see how things develop, and I like him. I mean, we talked for quite some time.
All right. So is Mario a Dallas guy now or no? Okay.
No, when I was asking him, I asked him if he's moving out here or not, and he said no, he's gonna manage remotely. I'm sure he's gonna be out here frequently.
Really?
I've got to think you have to be.
Well, that's the second time it's sold, right? So, Taylor passed away very, under sad circumstances. I want to say it was 2017, and David Perlman, who was one of the main customers, purchased it. But I don't know that much about it. Just that's what they were doing, and then it kind of went through some changes of management, kind of trying to figure out how to move it forward without Taylor, because Taylor was kind of like this unstoppable force that just drove that business. I mean, he did completely his own engine development, did all of his own gearbox development with the partners. He went out and put up money for like 25 gear sets, and I mean, he made it all happen. I mean, it was the closest thing in the country to an underground racing.
Mm-hmm.
And he was right there with them. He got gamed a couple of times. Those games kind of caught up with underground racing this year at TX2K, and they lost trying to play those games. But he was right there with them towards the end of his tenure with Dallas Performance. And so, I heard that Perlman got a unit up by Horsepower Lounge for his cars. So I guess we'll have to find out like what that relationship is going to be.
I didn't ask any more details, but like just to keep him, or is he opening another shop?
Well, I think Mario wanted to get into the Lamborghini game in the United States, and I think maybe David just wanted to do racing. I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth. And
Then it makes sense for him to be right there, and I mean, he had a couple cars at Horsepower Lounge every once in a while, anyway.
He said he would come on and talk with us about it. So,
he did.
Not specifically about Dallas Performance, but he mentioned on my Facebook that he would come on and talk about his car when it's, he's the kind of guy that wants to have it done and know what it's doing, not talk about what it's going to do.
Yeah.
So he wanted to get some dyno numbers on his new setup, and then he said he would share it. So that might be something we can do in the next couple of weeks leading up to.
Yeah, I like David.
Indiana.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a straight arrow, that guy. Like he doesn't play games. He's not a crap talker. He just goes out and does things. It's nice the way he does it. Unlike some of these other guys that are like, Mr. I don't know what the word is, social media crap talker. He lets his actions speak, and I kind of like that style.
So we have 3 weeks before Indy?
Is it the 10th? When is Indy? The 10th?
11 through 13.
Yeah, so we need to leave on like the 9th or the 10th.
1, 2. Yeah, we have 2.5 weeks. So, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say your car is not gonna be done. If mine's not even done yet,
No, I hate to say that, but I don't. I mean, like every star everywhere would
Has
need
to
to
align.
align. I mean, half the time you can barely even see the stars when you're messing with car stuff.
So we're just hoping that Steve gets mine together, and then after that, we're hoping that I don't know if I'm
Hey.
going to bring it to Dallas or not for tuning. I don't even know what's going to happen, but
Well, if you do get your car together, keep it together during Indy so that we can go to Abilene.
it's 3 days of points that I need to grab.
I know, and that makes up a big difference. I mean, I couldn't believe how high just going to one event it got me in the points category.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. If you get a runner up, boom, 8 points. Seems like.
Thank you for listening to So You Think Your Car is Fast podcast. Please subscribe and leave us a review. Also want to thank Redenzo Radar, redenzo.com/BHT for discounts. Also want to thank Evo Spec Engine Development and Force Performance.